Hi, I'm answering questions for D'Angelo Groves for his paper for Belmont. I decided just to do an audio because it's faster for me right now with what I've got going on. So, question number one: what was your entrepreneurial journey? How did you start out? Well, essentially, I started out with $35, or maybe it was 32, and a plan on making a batch of soap. Before I had finished that batch of soap, I had already pre sold it for $3 a bar. And I made 30 bars, and then it went from there. I've always been really good cooking, so I view things from the perspective of cooking. So I knew I could make a soap that smelled really good and worked really well. So that was how I started. I needed money. I had to feed my family. Our first goal was to be able to afford to get pizza once a week. So we were pretty poor. My husband was in the service. He hadn't been in for very long, and we had a new baby on the way. So we had to really get our act together. What are there any special attributes that you feel set your business apart from others in the same industry? So I was in this industry for about 10 years and then it went into other businesses. So I started off running a skincare company, which then branched into running an herbal school, which gave birth to other venues that I work in. So doula training organization and business coaching for people in those fields specifically. So what special attributes do I feel set my business apart from others in this time and in this same industry is that I'll be honest with you. I work harder than almost anybody I know. So I think that's one of the key ingredients. You have to be willing to actually work and believe in your product. I pre-sold things before I even had them, ready. I knew I'd be able to deliver. I didn't take any money until delivery. So that was a good way to go about doing it. And then I also, in addition, I believed in myself. I almost had this, I don't know if it was a desperate being from, having like desperate circumstances, but because of this, I was able to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this work. And people say, oh, well, you have to go to college and then get a job. And you're making those same kinds of decisions when you go to college and get a job. Now, I did go to college and I was perfectly capable of getting a job, but the problem is that I didn't want to leave my son who I had just had, and I wanted to set up this whole new paradigm that would work for my family. So that's what set me apart, is that I wasn't going to compromise on my family and I wasn't going to compromise on me. What bootstrapping techniques, if any, were implemented into your entrepreneurial venture? I try to be really smart with my money. I try to save money. I try to look at things from another perspective. I try to fill holes that I see in the market. Do you possess any particular skill that you think gives you an advantage in the skincare market? Well, as an educator, certainly. I've been teaching this class, the Herbal Skincare for Business class, since 2001. And it's a very popular class, and I work with estheticians and I work with product formulators all over the world. Some of the products have become really, really famous. And so having that skill to train others gives me an advantage. Any information concerning product service / details. So I'm a little bit different. I'm not actually offering skincare products anymore. I actually just train people to make them. The demand question, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for that, but we have a decent amount of individuals who enroll in the program. When I was offering products, we were selling out everything that we made all the time. And we had some very large clients, and we had some very small clients. So our average expenses, so this is years back, would have been $40,000 to $50,000 a year, and I'm not sure. I can't tell you off the top of our head what our revenue was. How did you decide on pricing? Okay, so with pricing, I'm a little different than other people. The first thing I do is I pay myself. Then I pay for the ingredients. Then I pay for packaging. Then I pay for containers. And then I mark it up 100%. Because I decided early on that I wasn't going to work for peanuts. I can go and do that for someone else. If I'm going to do it for me, then I'm going to create the supply. I'm going to create the demand. I'm going to create the buzz to make sure that my product worked. Purchasing behavior question. Most of our clients were repeat clients. Most of the stores that we worked with were repeat. We did custom formulations for hospitals and resorts and hotels, so we were able to offer that also. Purchasing behavior question, that wouldn't really be relevant because it's been a few years now. Supplier base, I always worked with the same suppliers. I had a really good relationship with them. I think that's key, is that they have to trust me and I have to trust them. And a lot of people don't treat their suppliers well, and a lot of people act like they're doing their supplier a favor because their supplier is giving them what they need, and I think that's a huge mistake. What are your marketing strategies? Well, back then I didn't really have any. I just assumed you'd have to be crazy not to want my product. I was kind of naive. So I had a website. I had one of the first. So our first website was online in 1996. So this tells you how long I've been doing this. And we were one of the only places that offered this and would ship to you. And so that was one of the reasons why we were so successful, is that we were this incredible resource that had over 100 products on our website, and you just couldn't find them anywhere else. So people who were living in rural communities who wanted something all natural, who wanted something custom made, and were willing to have it paid to be delivered, they certainly, we were their one-stop shop. Number 12, employees. We have 2 employees back then in IT, so basically a full-time IT person and myself. And then we would have assistants that would work for us on a part-time basis. Do certain seasons and months affect your revenues? Absolutely. Back to school is just not a good time to be, if you're not selling school supplies, back to school season is not a good time to be, in business. It's like everything slows down back to school. First of the year is a good time. Everyone's thinking about, I'm going to clean up my life. I'm going to go green. I'm going to do this. That's great. Christmas, it's weird. So Christmas comes and goes. So some years Christmas is like amazing, and other years Christmas would be dry as a bone. So it just really depends on what the social climate's like. So if people feel like they can't afford luxuries, then they're not going to pay for luxury items. If you were my son and you said I wanted to run a skincare company, my first suggestion would be is to determine what kind of skincare company you want to run. There's all different kinds. There's natural ones. There's green ones. There's chemistry-based ones. There's ones that are run by estheticians and cosmetologists. And what kind of makeup or skincare do you want to run? And then I would ask you to think about who you think your clients are going to be, or if you're going to serve a specific industry. So are you making skincare products for women? Are you making them for men? Are you making them for models? Are you making them for actors and actresses? Is there an industry that you're thinking of going into? Then I would say get some education. So learn how to make these things, take a course, take classes, take everything you can get your hands on and afford, and learn your industry. So many people just say, "Oh, I can do this," and hop right into it, and they don't have any planning, any forethought, or they'll say, "Oh, I don't want to invest in education. It costs so much money." And it's like, really, most of these classes are under $500. It's a cheap investment for a business. Even if it's, $3,000 or $4,000, you're still looking at an incredible return on your dollar if you do this right. And then I would suggest taking some kind of business training. So either some classes at your local community college, something online, something that focuses on business. Because I think it's really important. A lot of people jump in and they make all kinds of really silly mistakes at the beginning. They invest everything they've ever saved into something without even properly researching it. So those would be my top two pieces of advice. And then I would say, look, you've got this. You can do it. I believe in you. I know how smart you are. I know that you have this inside of yourself. You have to make sure that this is what you want to do and that you have drive and determination to do it. And once you have those in a row, and once you know and understand what those are, I really feel that you'll be unstoppable. People don't fail at business necessarily because of a bad idea. There's lots of bad ideas that make people lots and lots of money. There's lots of silly products. There's lots of silly services. The reality is that you have to sell your service in a way that your community says, I want that. So those would be my biggest points of advice. I hope this was helpful. Have a good afternoon.